Okay, yes, we are live. So hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much, Danica and Simone, for having Barbara and myself here today. So I did a video with you guys last week. My name's Elise. I'm from the Skills and Jobs Centre, which is a team at TAFE Gippsland. And so today we're going to be learning some real key pointers and helpful hints around tax and doing your tax for the first time. And we've got Barbara from TAFE Gippsland who is going to be sharing some information. So Barbara, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Barbara and I'm one of the teachers at Warragul TAFE. I actually teach the Cert 4 and the Diploma in Accounting and Bookkeeping. I've taught at Monash University for 20 years. I'm a CPA and a tax agent. So yeah, tax makes me wake up in the morning with a smile on my face, unbelievably, but yes.
Fantastic. And this is such good timing because it is tax time right now. Most of us, will need to go and start thinking about that if we haven't already. So we've got a couple of questions that we're going to run through. So Barbara, our first question is, can you explain to us what is tax?
Well, tax is money that the government uses to pay for things like defence and medical, and a little bit towards roads and education. So although they say we have free education, it's not actually free. The government pays for a large part of it. So tax is the money they use. And to get that money, they take it from anybody who earns income, just a small part of the income they earn as a contribution to those expenses.
Okay, so that kind of answers our next question too, which is our next question is, how do I pay my tax? So you've talked a little bit about who I pay my tax to, but how do I actually pay that? How does it happen?
You actually don't pay it as such. Your employer or the person who gives you the money you earn takes the tax out before you get it. So if you earn $100, they might take maybe $5 or $3 from that, and they'll give that to the tax department on your behalf. And then at the end of the year, you do a report, which is called a tax return, that explains how much money was paid for you during the year and calculates how much tax you should have paid during the year. And the difference either means you have to pay more or you get some money back.
Okay, so you've touched on tax returns a little bit. Did you want to go a little bit further? So what exactly is a tax return?
It's a report that lists everything you've earned during the year, so the total amount of income. And that income can be from wages, it can be from Centrelink, it can be from dividends and shares, which is probably a bit beyond you people at the moment, but it could be from grants that the government's given you, but any income that you've earned. And that calculates how much income you've earned. And then there's a certain formula that tax accountants use that's presented by the Department of Tax from the government that says how much tax you should have paid on that amount of income. And the tax return calculates all that out.
Okay, so does everyone have to lodge a tax return?
Not everyone. But if you've got any income, then you have to lodge a tax return. So that covers pretty much nearly everybody.
So even if you earn like a really small amount, do you still, is there a bit of a guideline there, or does just if you earn anything, you have to do a tax return?
If you've earned $17,000 and paid no tax, then you don't really have to lodge a tax return, but it's a good habit to get into. But if you've earned $300 and you've paid tax, because you've paid tax or somebody's taken the tax out on your behalf, you have to lodge a tax return. So if you're getting any income coming in, it's a good idea to do a tax return.
And so when do we need to do a tax return by, and how often do we need to do it?
You need to do a tax return every year, and the end of the financial year is not Christmas, thankfully. That would be too hard to do tax returns in the middle of Christmas. It is the 30th of June, so that's just past 22 days ago. So if you're doing your tax return yourself, you have to have it lodged by the 31st of October. So that gives you, 3 or 4 months to work on it. But if you're going through a tax agent, because we have so many to do, the government gives us more time. So we may not have to lodge your tax return until May the following year. So it's really handy to go through an accountant because that gives you much more time, and they know what they're doing and they know what deductions and things you can get.
Yeah, so what are deductions?
Okay, remember I said earlier, if you earned an amount of money, you had to pay a certain amount of tax based on a formula the government comes up with. Well, deductions are anything that it costs you to get that job, cost you to get that income. So say, for example, you work as a tradie. So you're working a trade, you're a plumber or a carpenter. You have to wear overalls and you have to wear protective shoes. Now, you wouldn't wear them anywhere else, but you need these to earn your money as a carpenter. So those would be a deduction because they directly relate to you earning that income and you don't use them for anything else. So the more deductions you have, the total income you get will be less because that amount comes off the amount of income you earn. So therefore, the less tax you'll have to pay.
Okay, very good. I actually thought of another example that that someone I know who was, I think he was 19 and he was working in hospitality, and he had to pay to do his safe food handling certificate. I don't think it was too much, maybe like $150 from memory. And so that would be considered a deduction, wouldn't it?
It would be considered a deduction, yes. Most
Very
training
good.
relating to your income is also deductible, but it's got to relate to the income that you earn.
And so for people who are maybe doing their tax for the first time or are not sure, where can they go to ask questions or to get help or support or guidance?
Well, the first place I'd suggest is an accountant. And if your accountant's any good, they will actually teach you how to do your first tax return and instruct you on everything that's involved. H&R Block is often recommended because they're fairly quick and efficient, but they won't walk through it with you and explain everything. The tax department is a good place to go and have a look. And there's a thing called e-tax where you can do it yourself online. But being your first tax return, I think the best place would be to get an accountant to do it. Most, I'm going to say children, teenagers, young adults will actually ask their parents who they go through and potentially will go through the same accountant. But for your first year, get someone who knows what they're doing. And then after that, if they've taught you or walked you through it properly, you should be able to do it yourself for the next few years.
Very good. And I have another question, which I'm hoping is okay to ask. So when you lodge a tax return, do you always get money back or do you sometimes not get money back?
Sometimes you have to pay.
Okay.
Which is a little
yeah. I definitely had that situation once and it came as a big surprise to me. So I guess it's important for people to be prepared that sometimes we don't always get money back when we do our tax return. Sometimes we do though, which is a nice surprise.
As I said, with the tax return, that is basically the calculation. I earned this much, and because I earned that much, I should have paid this much tax. And then it goes, my boss paid this much tax on my behalf, so I'll either get some back or I'll have to pay some more. And just to give you an indication of the size of these sorts of things, in the last week, one of my clients ended up having to pay $54,000 and one of my clients got a refund of $13,000. So it can be anywhere.
Wow.
It really depends on how much your boss has paid on your behalf compared with how much you should have paid.
Yeah, so there are definitely two varying ends of the scale, but I really appreciate that guidance about when we are doing our tax for the first time. It's really good to have someone teach you, because doing a tax return is something that we need to do every year for the rest of our lives. So if it's something that we can learn to do young, then not only can we do our own tax better and more effectively, but then we can help the others around us as well. So although you definitely can do your e-tax, it's really good advice to get an accountant or someone who's knowledgeable to support you and help you and teach you for the first time or the first couple of times of doing your tax return. Before we finish, Simone or Danica, did either of you have any questions for us?
I think you've covered everything I was unsure about. I know I still go to an accountant because I don't want to do it wrong. So I just pay the people that are good at what they do. So
Yeah, I'm lucky enough that my uncle is an accountant. So, just contact the family member and, kind of get them to handle it for us. But we did have a comment from a young person saying that because of their Centrelink payments, they're unsure of whether or not they have to lodge their tax return or if they do it for them, or I guess if it's different in terms of the process for Centrelink payments.
Okay, Centrelink do not lodge tax returns. They have nothing to do with tax returns, except they do talk to the tax department and tell the tax department how much money they've paid you. Now, some Centrelink payments have tax taken out of them and some don't. When you look on your MyGov, you'll be able to see your Centrelink payments and whether tax was taken out. Now, if tax was taken out, then you'll need to lodge a return. If tax wasn't, then you probably won't need to lodge a return. But it wouldn't hurt just for the practice to lodge one anyway. Did that help?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
thank you.
I think that definitely answered their question.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Danica and Simone, for the opportunity to share today. And thank you, Barbara, for joining us and sharing your knowledge and expertise and giving up your time today. And I look forward to seeing you all soon.
I do have one more comment to make, if that's okay.
Of course.
This year is the first year that MyGov is doing pretty much everything. Last year and the year before, you would get a thing called a payment summary, which your employer would give you, that says how much you earned and how much tax they paid on your behalf. They're not doing that anymore. So this year, everything's going through MyGov. And everything that goes through MyGov the tax department has put in there. And when you go to the accountant, they can download all that same information. So you won't actually get a group, what we used to call a group certificate, a payment summary from your employer this year, or from Centrelink. You have to access it on the internet.
So to get our payment summaries, we log into our MyGov accounts?
Yes.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I've been waiting for my payment summary. I obviously missed an email there.
Yes, they all come through MyGov now.
There you go. Well, before we finish up, would anyone like to add or make any final comments?
No, thank you for your time and your knowledge.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks
very much.